Ahoy there, listeners, and welcome to the Captain's Horror Meltdown. My name is Cammy, and I'll be your captain on this journey, and I'm joined, as always, by, well, very exciting news tonight.
No,
So
I think I said at the
Build it up,
end of
man.
the last
Build it up.
podcast, you
did
said
this one.
you
did this before.
no, at the end of the last podcast, I think he described us as in the next episode as having special guests. Now,
Right.
Yes, well, we do have special
Sounds
guests.
about right.
our special guests are both of our listeners.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they'll be excited to listen to this. Yeah, we've got the whole complement here today.
Yep.
And the reason we're all here is what most listeners don't know is that actually we never really said what our mission is on the ship, and actually we're a team of Cenobites.
Oh.
And we're not from the underworld, we're from the overworld, and we're sailing the high seas on a similar mission to the actual Cenobites in the underworld, except slightly tamer mechanism,
Yep. Can't whack a bit of sadomasochism.
and more booze.
Yeah.
So, but basically, John's here,
Yeah.
as always.
All right.
And we've also got Doc and Dave.
Yes.
They're back. The first time they've made it back on board. They've been on a sadomastic, hedonistic mission the whole time we've been recording, but they've made it back.
Unbelievable. So many souls. Just
So many souls.
Thanks for the invite
amazing
along.
work.
Well, they had to come back because their bags were full of souls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't get any more souls
like
in.
fucking soul heavy.
Totally.
Sounds like
Absolute
a Felton film, actually.
It does until we make it, and then it does not become a Felton film.
Hellraiser, is it 10? Is there 9 sequels or is there 9 films in total? I can't remember.
Oh, God.
Is there
I've
really?
seen most of them as well.
I think there might be 9 in total. I think.
9 in total. Well, Hellraiser 10, and they've just been, all the Cenobites have just been demoted onto a pretty rusty ship.
Yep. Cammy's rusty rocket.
Hey, look, everyone's welcome on my rusty rocket. You know that. How are we all doing, gents?
Pleasure to be here. Long time listener, first time podcaster. So looking forward to it. It's actually quite nice to see
Excellent.
you guys as well.
Yeah, it's a whole new dimension, isn't it?
A little glimpse into
fact
the
that
magic.
I'm completely naked, and John. I mean, well, everyone knows we're in lockdown. We're going to date this in a minute,
Oh, yeah.
as we do.
Yeah.
But I will say that we're all looking pretty lockdown-ish. Especially John. Look at that fine head of hair he's grown in the lockdown.
Yep.
It is beautiful.
Absolutely wild.
Lustrous.
It's
It
like
is.
like a hippie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fuck you, Captain Tramp.
Yeah, I'm growing hair for both of us actually. So there you go.
I mean, you're like a sort of symmetrical head with the amount of hair you've got going on at the moment.
Oh, I know, it's wild. I'm starting to look more like Wicket from
Yes.
Star Wars, or maybe more like Chief Chirpa
Chief.
or Tebow, the witch doctor.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you meant the service station. Sorry.
Oh no, that's T-Bay.
Yeah, sorry, I just came back to me. Yes, sorry, actually talking about date checks. We are on Wednesday, the 27th of May. I'll say 2020, because as I said in the last episode, 2021 could still be here. Who knows?
Fun knows. Well, I mean, just today I found out that it was my somewhat surprisingly, the company I was working for gave in and actually furloughed us under massive pressure from the union.
Nice.
But they were only going to furlough us until the 31st of May. And they decided today that they were going to extend the furlough till the end of June,
Lovely.
Okay.
which is nice.
Yeah.
Although I don't know when the government's extended the furlough to.
I think it's the
October,
end
I
of
think.
August.
No, it's
Right,
October.
so yeah.
Is it October?
I think so, yeah.
Well, this company's obviously taking it month by month anyway. But yeah, there you go.
Wild. So
Another handful at least.
Yeah.
I suppose
Yeah,
we'll go
totally.
through it. I mean, Doc, how has your lockdown been?
Not too bad. Been working away. I have been doing a bit of biking, doing a bit of running, and slowly sliding into alcoholism. But apart from that,
When you say that, I mean slowly sliding further. into alcoholism.
deeper into interdimensional boozing. But yeah,
I have to say that I mean the three of you. I'm a bit of a lightweight when it comes to booze, but seeing
You have a fucking
your
cracking
weekly...
good go, though, Captain. You really do. Put your heart and soul into it. You really do.
Too. I'll get there one day. I'll be a big boy one day. I'm mightily impressed by the beer orders that you guys are getting through on a near daily basis, and the amount of money that you're pumping into the local economies is unbelievable.
Yeah, we're doing really well. I think we're something to be proud of.
Single-handedly holding up the local booze economy in Scotland.
Yeah,
and Ireland.
I kind of got carried away though, because I got another box a few days ago, and then realised I hadn't actually finished either of the previous two boxes that I had before. So I'm just ordering. I've got nothing else to do, Cammy. I'm literally just waiting for the next text message to come in and go, oh, looks fine, fuck it, I'll just buy it, whatever. Because that's all I spend my money on at the moment.
It's that flavoury thing's a disaster though, because as soon as a package arrives at your door, you get another email for another box. And you're just like, well, that sounds really good too. So
yeah, I've been trying to weed it out quite a lot, and sort of like, it has to be something like really. All the beers now have to appeal to me. I'm not going to take a risk on any of them.
Well, the first thing is it cans or is it bottles? If it's bottles, it gets deleted straight away.
Well, I see we've now surpassed that in Edinburgh. We've now
you've got glass collections back, haven't you?
Yeah, it's back on the go. Just got one yesterday, and it was fucking rammed. Let me tell you that. Glad to get rid of that.
I'm with you, Dave. Though cans only now. Cans only in this household. We don't have. We don't have glass collection anyway.
Yeah, no, I still agree with the can option. Definitely.
I mean, there's enough rage from Kirsty as it is if booze arrives at all, but if it's bottles, then it's like doubled. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth the.
If it's bottles, you end up getting bottled.
God almighty. I hope Kirsty doesn't listen to. Well, obviously, who would? She, of course, just buckle into this. Dearie me.
And of course, John and I are totally about some. Obviously, Doc's just said that he's working. You're also working, Dave.
Well, yes.
Well, partially working.
Well, I mean, Cammy, you're working as well.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I think I'm literally the only person that I know and chat to on a daily base who is doing absolutely fuck all work.
Well, there is Stevie, but I mean, he does
he's
fuck
still
all when he's at work. So
he is technically employed, though. He's still technically employed. He's just, I mean, it's his dream, isn't it? He's like, he's doing what he essentially does in the office, in that he's working from his bed.
Yeah,
drunk.
Yes, drunk at best. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. Like speaking to my colleagues that are furloughed, like some of them are in some of the younger ones in the team are in their like early 20s, are like basically living in shared flats with their pals, are having furloughed, are getting paid.
It's an absolute
to just get
dream.
absolutely blutered the whole time. Exactly. It's just
like
amazing.
being a student but getting paid. And not having to go to university at all.
Not to do anything, just to get boozed up.
Amazing.
It's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, top notch. But yeah, lockdown easing begins in 2 days in Scotland.
Yep. See what the final chat is tomorrow.
We're sort of well into it here already. We've almost done a week of it, I think. So it's been interesting.
Is it just basically like a 24-hour beach party with you now?
Well, it is for the kids. Yeah, it seems to have, like, for teenagers, it just seems to have brought them all out onto the street, into the parks. It's just gone nuts. So that's good.
And the big question today, obviously, was how's it affected the leprechauns?
Yeah.
Oh, and Cammy,
I saw that guy on
casual
TV
racism
this morning, and it was just. Did you see the interview?
No.
That guy is nuts. He's convinced that there's leprechauns living in a cave at the bottom of his garden, and it gets worse. And he's living off their gold.
Oh, wow.
They were asking him, like, is there have you any trouble with, like, the lockdown and losing income and stuff? He's like, oh, no, there's no issue because I'm living off the leprechaun's gold.
Sort of like a furlough scheme, then.
Yeah. Fuck me.
Is he in the north or the south?
He's in the south.
Is it? He's just on the total noise off.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Absolutely amazing.
Apparently he takes Americans round on tours of this cave to show them the leprechauns, and it's fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Has he got a person? Oh, we've lost Dave.
Have we?
No,
he's back.
Oh, he's back. He's still here. Oh, I lost your picture. That's what happened.
Yeah, I'm sort of dipping in and out of
there?
picture, but you can still hear me, I think, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I've been all good so far. This was a fucking miracle.
So yeah, we've all been enjoying our weekly lockdown meltdown. We usually have one or two events a year where we have a big meltdown festival ourselves, but we've been enjoying a text-along meltdown every week, and it just so happened that we were able to tie the last film that we did in the podcast into the lockdown meltdown.
Yeah, quite easily for us as well. That was
very easily. Yeah, Satanic Panic was the last film we watched, and then obviously we've just moved on to Hellraiser.
Yeah,
I don't think we need to say much more there, do we?
Nope.
Satanism, hell.
If anyone emails asking what the link was, I'll send my mum round and she will explain it to you.
Or your 4-year-old child.
Yes. You get more sense out of him, let's be honest.
So yeah, we are looking at Hellraiser this week. So will I do my usual go-to letterboxd for the synopsis?
It would be weird.
Oh, it's almost my favourite part of the podcast, so yeah, let's do that.
Excellent. Well, here we go.
Genuinely, something that someone else wrote. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Hellraiser, 1987, directed by Clive Barker.
Good start.
An unfaithful wife encounters the zombie of her dead lover while the demonic Cenobites are pursuing him after he escaped their sadomasochistic underworld. I mean, it's pretty on the nose, isn't it? Although zombie's
a bit of a weird one.
Wrong,
well, he is
zombie.
Yeah, that's true, but he's not a classic zombie, is he?
No, if someone had...
There's a point where he's quite zombie-ish.
I mean, I'm kind of at the point of trying to figure out who these people are that write these things, and I just want to ask them some basic questions.
Totally. I've never actually submitted a film to the database. I think it is user generated, I think.
Well, it must be fucking right. If that's like an official synopsis for, like, say, Clive Barker, what a nightmare that would be.
Oh God, yeah, God. So yeah, Hellraiser. I think it was obviously wasn't a first time watch for any of us. I don't think.
Nope.
But
no.
What's your previous history with the film, everyone? Me personally, I would like to say that I saw it in the VHS era, but actually I didn't see it until the DVD era. It was a DVD. It came free. The DVD came free with my DVD player that I got in 1999.
Wow. Ooh, right.
So I didn't actually see it till then. And I think it was a full screen.
Lovely treat.
Yeah, a full screen DVD. I think.
Did you get a choice, or did it just? Is that what you got with it?
No, it came with 3 films. It came
like the same
with
3 films.
I think, yeah.
That's a wild free disc to get.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was mental. I mean, it was proper early days of Blu-ray, so there wasn't very much stuff out. And, well, like, I remember at the time there was one of the studios had a display for an HMV and Virgin and stuff of all their DVDs, and it had 7 DVDs in it.
Right.
That was the extent of their entire collection.
Right, okay.
And one of them was 6 Days and 7 Nights with Harrison Ford.
Oh, you've talked about this before, yeah.
Yeah,
Totally. Bad news. Ended up with it. But Hellraiser, you just got it. And the weird thing with that DVD player as well was it was just multi-region out of the box.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bought in a normal shop.
Lovely.
Oh, it's tremendous. They hadn't really locked down the multi-region thing yet, so you can just go and buy imports straight away.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they really kind of managed to figure that out, did they? It was like a pointless endeavour.
Yeah, I mean, I had to dig about because I really wanted to see how bad that DVD looks now. I mean, the sleeve alone looked terrible. It looked like some really, really bad bootleg, but it wasn't. And it was.
Well, I'll tell you what, it'll not look any worse than the fucking copy the thing that I watched. So.
Oh God, yeah. Well, we'll get to that later, but yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, God, Jesus Christ. So I didn't actually see it until then, but I have watched it quite a few times in between then and now. And just looking on Letterboxd, actually, I've been using Letterboxd for about 10 years or something stupid now on login stuff. And the last time I watched it before I saw it this time was in 2015. Okay. Which was when I went on a Hellraiser bender and watched all of them.
All of them? Fuck!
Yeah, they were all on Netflix for a little while. Like, I'm pretty sure they all were. Like, even like Weird One in Space and all that. So, yeah, they get pretty wild after the third one, which is in itself totally shit. But
yeah, it's not the greatest.
Yeah, bad. But what about you guys? I'm pretty sure you used to talk about it when we were kids, though, John. I'm pretty sure you'd seen it. Young team, had you?
I'd definitely seen it before because I was kind of aware of Pinhead and stuff. And I think my earliest proper memory of it is probably the first time I went to Dead by Dawn. Actually,
right.
Went with Graham, and it was at the time it was only an all-nighter. And Doug Bradley was there. They were showing Hellraiser.
Yes.
So that's my main memory of watching it a long time ago. I must have watched it at some other point in VHS, but it's just, we just took our seats, and there was a guy right in front of us, and the boy beside us leaned over and said, "See the guy in front of you? That's Pinhead." I was like, it was like, okay, but I had never seen what he looked like as a man without a shitload of makeup on. You're like, okay, fair enough. But yeah, as a film, I've just kind of, I will have bought I would have bought it on DVD, bought it on Blu-ray. Unfortunately, it fell foul to the Blu-ray thief cunts.
Oh God!
That's the first time I've said cunt. Oh, second time. So yeah, it's just one of those films that's kind of been ever present. Really, it's always been a bit of a classic. I was a bit nervous about watching it again for the lockdown because it'd been a good few years since I'd watched it. But yeah, it's just always been. It's been part of the landscape.
Yeah, I can't quite.
Have you, Mr. John?
Can't quite. I was trying to figure out when I first saw it. Definitely saw it on a VHS at some point, because I know there's a sample of Kirsty when she's saying "You want it, fucking have it." Is on, I think, a Senseless Things track. It was out in the early 90s.
All right.
So I heard that before I saw the film. So it was sometime in the mid-90s I saw it on VHS. But I don't remember liking it as much as I did until, I think it was on at Dead by Dawn in 2013. I think it was the year that Frank Henenlotter and a whole load of other really good stuff was there. I remember seeing 35mm print there and just being blown away. It's like, I remember all of the gore and I remember all of Cenobites in particular, but I hadn't quite appreciated how good a film it is. And especially when we watched it last week, it's still like, this is quite a far out there film for the kind of time it's from. But yeah, I think it's...
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's actually, I think I'm exactly the same. Like, I think I remember sort of liking it in the past, but it's only recently that I've come to think it's quite so good. It's got a good sort of punk ethic to it or something.
Yeah, it's got a lot to it.
What about you, Dave?
I probably haven't seen this for about 20 years, which is crazy. I've no memory of watching it since I was very young, and I wasn't at Debbie Dawn the year that it was on. Doc was talking about when Henenlotter was there. I wasn't there, so I missed it. And I definitely haven't rewatched it since back in the day. So this was almost like a new viewing for me. I don't really remember
nice when that happens.
Any of the setup stuff at the start. For the first maybe half hour, 40 minutes of the film, really, really hazy. Obviously, when the Cenobites come in and all that sort of stuff, I remember all that. But yeah, the first part of the film was completely new to me, which was quite nice.
Yeah, totally. I think it's always nice when you kind of it's been a few things like that. Certainly, even like for stuff we've done in like previous episodes, like, shit, I've not seen that in fucking ages. And then,
but sort of my
it's
memory
nice
of it. My sort of memory of it is that it was quite a light-hearted film, and quite a, I remember the characters. That's my memory of it. Like, the characters were really cool, but I didn't appreciate how fucking dark it was. So I sort of said to Johnny before we watched it, like, "Oh, you're going to enjoy this. It's really good. It's really cool." And then it started, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is horrendous!" You know, the hammer attacks and that sort of stuff are just like, holy shit.
Well, I'm just glad you were able to join us, Dave. There was a danger you were going to be sort of furloughed from the podcast this evening.
Furloughed from the podcast?
Yeah.
I'd love to see those wages coming through.
They're not impressive. They mainly come at the end of a wrist. But yeah. Because what, were you meant to be working or something? Or?
Yeah, I got called into work for a while. I was expecting to be in there probably till midnight, but
right. I thought it was your other problem. Because
my other problem.
I mean, we've known each other for 25 years. Something like that. It must be a hell of a long time. And I've talked, so many times I've tried to speak to Dave. It's like,
where the fuck is this going?
I mean, you can. I mean, it's like we're recording at 9, and then suddenly Dave's like, "Oh, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it." And I was like, "You know what? Sometimes I've tried to persuade you, and I'm glad you've actually come round. Is just you've got to relax your wanking schedule, man. It doesn't have to be on the nose 9 o'clock every night."
But then it sends the whole thing out of whack. You can't get back on. You can't get yourself back.
But it's why we don't. It's why our lockdown meltdown viewings are text only. There's no video calling because you need too much of a liability.
And like Dave's usually very quiet for the first 10 to 15 minutes.
And then
just like typing really like one word responses or emojis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shit. Yeah, I mean, I think the one of the other memories that sort of ties into what you were saying, Dave, is that like, I guess because it became a series, I guess, and Hellraiser 3 was just like omnipresent in every video shop for a long time.
Yeah.
It just felt like they were like the Cenobites were the sort of the characters, but it's amazing watching this that they're barely in it really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like a couple of scenes and
I think that's really good. Like, I mean, they've got such high impact when they arrive. I mean, when you actually get to grips with them for the first time, it's a fucking tremendous scene. It really is. Just blew me away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Was it uncomfortable at all watching it with your teenage son? When
thankfully,
especially for the first 15 minutes. For the first 15 minutes after 9 o'clock,
there was no tits in it, which was good.
I think for the first 15 minutes after 9 o'clock, it was especially uncomfortable because usually Dave likes to do that in a different room away from everyone.
Yeah. So
you're just going to keep hammering away at that, are you?
No, I'll leave it now. It's okay. It's fine.
So, Dad, why? So the film's about a guy with a magic box. Why has he got the magic box? Oh, he's just he's a sex maniac. And
I don't really think that was what his focus was on the film. To be honest, certainly it was a lot. It was a lot more comfortable watching it than it was watching Life Force with him.
Oh yes,
that was horrendous. Yeah. Absolutely horrendous.
So many questions.
I want a cup of tea moments.
Well, you couldn't even do that because it goes on for so long.
Yeah, you go away, make the cup of tea, go out and get a kebab. Still tits are rocking around. Oh dear Lord, it's a breast heavy film, no question about it. I was actually quite surprised about how fucking terrible it is. I kind of forgot.
I mean, that's a weird film. That's a film that I have enjoyed, I think you've got to be in the right mood for it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
As well, like it's a real, because it's weird. Like, except for the nudity, it's like some sort. It's kind of got a sort of I don't know, like slightly shonky, like Quatermass vibe or something to it. Like it's just sort of like a sort of bit of a plodding, like.
Yeah.
procedural.
It
definitely
doesn't
does.
even
Definitely
have the
does
pace
follow
of
just
along.
lots of
Quatermass.
knockers
That's the
involved.
problem.
Totally, man. Anyway, we'll leave that for another time. And maybe we'll do a recap at some point. Big.
Well, will we get on and actually discuss the film?
I guess so. I don't know where I start.
Absolutely
from this, but there you go. You can start. That'll help.
Yeah, it's just a film, isn't it? No, I was. I didn't take a single note the whole time.
No,
at all.
we've got used to that by now.
Yeah, totally. No, I actually can't really draw. I can't fault any of it at all. I don't think. There's some slightly shonky special effects, especially the engineer monster at the end.
Oh, I
but
liked Dave's. You sent that little message earlier today.
Oh,
about
fucking hell, the special effects, yeah.
The end effects. I was like, actually.
Oh,
you got it?
yes.
Can we read it out?
Well, I guess.
Oh, was that for?
I guess
Was that the dragon you're talking
No,
about?
I guess they're talking about
Was
the
that
stuff
the
when
dragon at the
they
end?
disappear at the end. I'm guessing that's what it is.
Well, there's shonky lightning as well, isn't there? and Stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I think the
Yeah, I don't actually mind that stuff. That's quite sort of ILM style, sort of from the era special effects. But
I think the dragon was cobbled together out of stuff, out of like basically they went and bought skulls of animals and kind of stuck them all together and fired them onto a skeleton and animated it within a weekend because they needed some kind of ending for it.
yeah,
But it's-
it did seem a bit kind of like it did seem a bit
it's
trashed
out of
definitely.
nowhere as well, isn't it? I mean, that tramp isn't mentioned at all throughout the film. Really.
He has
You
one
see him
appearance
over
before,
and over again,
yeah.
and then. Yeah, he's in the. Well, she sees him on the street, doesn't she? In the subway or something, and she sees him in the pet shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it turns out, why? Actually, I don't know what the fuck's
Well,
going on with that.
it's really impressive. The special effects are really impressive considering the budget was £1 million or $1 million. Like, it really is impressive.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
That's unbelievable.
the imagery they create
totally.
is like
Yeah.
second to none. I mean, the effects
Unbelievable.
are generally pretty cool. I mean, the plasticine flesh is a little bit kind of galling at times, or silly putty flesh, whatever it might be. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the kind of like more kind of blood-related gore effects are really
the
cool.
practical stuff is amazing. It's
Yeah,
and you got to. I mean, some of the kind of visual stuff. Maybe lets it down a little bit, but for the time, it's really, really cool.
I think anything like that. I mean, you kind of instantly forgive it because I mean, the vibe, even though chunky bits are there, the vibe of the film is still very much real and in your face. And
Oh, totally. And it's like those practical effects are all fucking incredible. That stuff.
yeah,
The bit where Frank's starting to reform underneath the floorboards and stuff's absolutely amazing. Did any of you watch Did you watch the making of documentary that was on?
Yeah. I put that on the other
Blu-ray?
night. It's huge. I mean, it comes up. It's called Leviathan, and it's a massive documentary. But it looks stunning though, and it was pretty well put together.
But I mean, all those special effects guys who have been interviewed now for the Blu-ray are all basically not much older than we are. Do you know what I mean? They were all like total kids.
Yeah, it looked like it was
well, I guess which is the way these things work, isn't it? It always amazes me that Rob Bottin was like 21 when they did the thing.
yeah.
And you're just like, it's fucking absolutely incredible, you know?
Yeah, absolute madness.
Did the
the only thing I
interview
hate
the-
about that. Sorry, the only thing I really hate about that is it makes me feel like I've wasted my life.
And did they interview the Greek guy at all?
No, this Greek guy
shit,
is
what's
all
the message?
news,
Sorry, I was
all
looking for
new
that.
to me. Well, not I saw anyway. Like I didn't watch quite to the end of the documentary because I found myself at a point last night. I tried to watch it last night for a bit of research, the documentary. So I put it on, and then I found myself thinking I could get another film in here if I start. And then I started to get panicky because I was like, this documentary. I know it's feature length, but it's going on longer than I thought. So I ended up switching off about 10:30 so I could get another film in.
Okay.
No, I don't think that fell was in the documentary. I think they were talking about putting the end sequence together pretty quickly to kind of try and tie things up.
Yeah. So
But I mean, I guess the big thing that I thought was missing from the documentary was Clive Barker himself.
Yeah, that was a big omission.
okay.
So yeah. So I don't really know what the story was there, but
that's pretty big.
Thing is that seems to be quite standard in a lot of stuff these days, and like it's like they've got a lot of people are involved. But you're like, okay, but the director's not there or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that as well that Barker ended up. Well, this was the first film he directed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then he basically fucking blew it with his follow-up film, Nightbreed, really. And never really, I think he maybe made a couple of other things, but he just kind of refocused on the writing, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I mean, he must be worth a pretty penny. He's probably not going to be arsed to get out of bed and come down and do a documentary about the film that he made when he was a kid.
It's just
one of the commentaries for this. I didn't try any of the commentary tracks.
Oh. Let's have a look and see. Yes, he is, actually. Him and Ashley Lawrence, the girl in it. So,
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say him and the Greek guy getting pissed up.
Oh, that would be fun. I'd love to. So, well,
nothing said about the film whatsoever. I found the thing that you sent. Yeah. Where did you find this?
It was on an interview I was reading with him on Bloody Disgusting, I think, and then it actually is on IMDb as well, I think.
Okay, so reads as follows. Many viewers have commented about the poor quality of the effects at the end of the movie. Clive Barker has explained that due to a very limited budget, there was no money left to have the effects done professionally after the primary filming. Instead, Barker and inverted comma, Greek guy animated these scenes by hand over a single weekend. Barker has also commented that he thinks the effects turned out very well considering the amount of alcohol the two consumed. Fair play, smashed and making film effects. Can't fault it.
Well, I mean, obviously the budget is like a major sort of thing that you can't really avoid discussing when you're talking about this film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see how that kind of thing would happen. But also, there was a bit of confusion in that documentary about it, whereby someone said that the budget was initially 100,000.
What?
And then
100,000?
Yeah, and that they started off working on that, and I couldn't tell if they'd made a mistake and actually meant 1 million. But then there was a lot of chat about New Line basically seeing what had been shot so far and then putting a hell of a lot more money into it.
New World Cinema.
That could be.
Because I think it was funded by Virgin Film.
Virgin initially, and then Virgin pulled out. So,
but it looked like it was a big jump.
Yeah, totally. And that's how, that documentary about the soundtrack being done by Coil and stuff as well, they were saying, all right, when New Line came on and pumped money into it, they basically said, right, do the special effects scenes better now. Here's more money to reshoot special effects. And we're going to put our own, soundtrack to You're Not Going to Get to Use Your Guys, none of that sort of stuff. So but they sort of cranked up the money for it. And also, interestingly, they said that in it that the reason that Andy Robinson, who's the main actor, the guy who played Scorpio in Dirty Harry, the reason he was cast was because New Line demanded an American.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So that it was sellable in America, basically.
Fucking
the thing that totally, I remember getting me the first time I watched it as well, was like, fucking hell, this is really British, this film as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like totally just set in a like suburban house.
Yeah, which has got way more
really
levels than you would expect.
Really weird.
The edge of London or something like that.
Don't go to the top level, stay away from it.
Which again ties into the budget as well, because I mean I think that's what they've clearly focused the money on, pay the actors, pay the crew, and then it's basically like one location for the whole film really. I mean it does go out and about a little bit, but they can't have been out and actual
No, there was only
out and about out with the house very much.
There was only
at all.
one shot I think done on soundstage that was saying the thing I read today, so yeah, it's pretty much all on location, I think.
Yeah, but it's all in that one house as
Pretty
well
tight.
though.
It
So,
worked-
I mean,
it
Which
works
is great.
really well.
That's yeah, totally it does.
Yeah.
And I find that that kind of stuff's like really quite inspiring to kind of say, shit, this is actually quite possible. If we could pull our shit
it's
together.
totally that's exactly what I was thinking as well. It's totally doable. Do you know what I mean? It's all set in a tiny little enclosed space. The whole story plays out in there. There's no need to go anywhere else or see anything else.
Well,
Do you know
that's
what I
it.
mean?
Like even like when we eventually I think we're hopefully going to try and do the short film this year, but that seems to be vaguely kiboshed at the moment. But yeah, I mean, even just like, it's like, oh, my initial thought when I even wrote the script was like, I can't go outside a location because that'll be a pain in the tits.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not really a constraint in a way. It just more makes you think about things you can do within that simple little setting. And, it makes you concentrate more on the, well, I'd say script, but the horse shit, as I like to call it.
I mean, the whole film basically has, so basically the couple in the relationship, the stepdaughter, and the brother, and that's it.
Yep.
Except a couple of the girl's boyfriends in it briefly, sporadically, and the two removal men, and that's about it. Except for the Cenobites.
Oh, that was another thing today. The two removal men. The two guys on the stairs that are moving the mattress. Apparently, Doug Bradley got offered that role as well, of the guy on the stairs.
He actually considered it. Yeah.
He was seriously considering it because he was going to be on screen with his normal face with dialogue, and he was like, he nearly took it.
Wow, holy shit.
And instead he became one of the most iconic horror characters ever. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Guy on stairs.
You'd feel like such a ball bag if you did that.
It'd be good if he'd taken both roles. Because you wouldn't have been able to tell.
That's a great idea.
And he could have got double the pay.
Yeah, awesome, actually. Yeah. Double the pay.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's like it could almost even be like a TV play or something like that. It's so condensed. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's really not a hell of a lot to it, and I love that about it. It's interesting actually in the documentary as well. They were saying, sorry, we keep referring back to the documentary, but they were saying that Clive Barker, when he wrote the novella, was writing the script at the same time and was writing the novella to basically be the way to sell the script for the film. Okay. It was basically the way he was going to be able to get to make this film for himself.
So I didn't realize. I thought he just written the novella. I didn't realize he was planning a higher thing at the time.
Yeah, apparently so. But I said that he'd been pissed off. There'd been 2 or 3 adaptations of his stuff previous to this, and he'd been pretty fucked off about it, about how they'd turned out. So he decided that he was going to go down this route. I mean, what do you think of the cast? What do y'all think of the cast as well? Like, personally, I think that it's like fucking brilliantly cast. Like, everyone in it's great. The daughter's great. The cheating
she's
wife
incredible.
Is fucking brilliant.
It's just like,
she's absolutely fucking
I
brilliant.
think it's some of the looks to camera that are really brief, like after the hammer attack, and she looks like she's enjoying it so much. Such a good performance.
She totally nailed it. She looks like a proper actress as well, though, doesn't she?
Maybe she was enjoying it though. Who knows?
Maybe she was. Yeah, I mean, it's
just read that scene in the script and like through the rest of it, I'll fucking do it. Count me in.
Yeah, I'll definitely do it. I'll definitely do it. Yeah. The other thing that weirded me out was that they had 2 actors playing Frank as well, didn't they? So they've got like this sort of wild guy who's really skinny that played him with the skeleton suit on basically. And then the other guy who actually got to play him. That must be weird, eh? Just coming in to play the zombie version of someone else's character.
Under a lot of latex as well. The amount of amount of hours they went through for the amount of latex on them is incredible.
I mean, I bet every morning he woke up, he was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." Here we go again.
But he was probably waking up at night still. I mean, he was probably having to get in there for like 3 a.m. to go down and start getting made up for filming during the day. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
It probably took so long. Probably a night shoot as well, but it just took so long he still had to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning.
It's probably one of those really annoying shoots that's entirely a night shoot, even though it's all set inside and there's no need for it to be a night shoot because you don't see outside. I spent 10 days on a night shoot in a house for no reason at all. Absolutely no reason at all. Insane. Never saw outside the windows. Never saw like anything at all. Could have just put blacked out the windows. That would have been totally fine. Fucking hell! What a disaster. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, the other one I thought was good was the guy who plays Larry, because his performance early on is just with him being frank at the end of it as well. He's like really kind of milquetoast, sort of a little bit pathetic through a lot of it, and then that allows him to go fully wild where he's inhabiting Frank, or Frank's inhabiting him.
Yeah,
that's a really good point actually, because once that happens, like that's such a brilliant turn in performance.
It's an incredible turn of performance. It's brilliant.
It's a good thing to bring up, because it just highlights how really fucking excellent everyone was in it.
Come to Daddy.
I didn't see anyone and thought I never.
Come to Daddy.
Oh God! I mean, I didn't doubt one performance in that film, which is a testament to. I think it was. I didn't see one person and think, "Oh, that's a bit shit." It never happened. Really, it was all good. Everyone just went beyond. I think it was for a small budget film to have that kind of caliber performance is cracking.
There's no flab in it at all as well. I don't think there's any flab in it at all.
Really.
There's no real weak points or anything like that. It's bang, in you go, boom, it's over and done with. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't let up as well. It's never boring at any point. No. There's no point that you're like, reaching for your phone or anything, unless you're watching it in a text along situation.
It was pretty quiet on the
this
chat.
Sounds like an amazing sex life.
It was very quiet on the chat, yeah. No, totally.
I'm gonna mold my sex life in this film and the pace of it, and pay special attention to the not reaching for my phone. Could end very badly. I'm just playing Candy Crush while she sucked me off. Sorry. Right. I'll go back on track.
What about the Cenobites as well?
I mean, what
fucking tremendous.
What can you say? It's so perfect. I mean, the imagination that's got into that is just, all of them look amazing, all completely different, all on point though. They're all, it's just like the fucking craziest group of mentalists you've ever seen in your entire life. I can't think of another film that's done something like that, or indeed as well as that, in that term of a group of what the fuck is this? It's just so well done. I mean, the design that's got into it is fucking tremendous. I mean, all of them are kind of iconic, you know. It's obviously Pinhead's your kind of pinnacle, but you take a still of any one of those, and every horror fan knows what that's from.
Whenever the chatterer first came on screen, Johnny made a sound that was incomprehensible. I've never heard anybody make the noise before that he made. He was just like, "What the fuck is that?"
I do not like the chatterer at all. Just
horrible. Absolutely.
The lack of eyes gets me.
I think the testament to that is that, Johnny. He's not far into being quite a new kind of horror fan, and that this many years later is still punching someone in the gut is considering what is out there to be watched as a horror film is a massive testament to the design and that stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, that's and so actually, it's not in the main documentary, but in the documentary about the Coil soundtrack. I was speaking to Stephen Thrower, and he's talking about Clive Barker. Like, he met Clive Barker, so he was in Coil, and he met Clive Barker when he was working at Forbidden Planet.
Right.
Ended up chatting to him and playing him the music from Coil's music and stuff. Ended up becoming pals and hanging out. But then he was saying that Clive Barker would come round to theirs, and one of the guys that lived there was really into this body piercing magazine. This is like mid-80s. And the magazine had been going since the 70s or something like that. It had some weird name like PFI, like Piercing Fans International or something like that. Okay. And it was like, but it was really interesting actually. There was like, what he was saying was like, people just weren't pierced like that. There wasn't, that sort of, you know, extreme piercing and stuff's like really the norm now, and that sort of body modification and stuff. Nobody really bats an eye.
Yeah.
But like back then, it was like really fucking underground and really extreme. And he was like, Clive Barker was totally obsessed with it, and obsessed with like sexual deviancy and like anything like that at all. So yeah, totally. In terms of piercing and sadomasochism and all that.
It really comes through.
Pseudo-mechanisms.
Pseudo-mechanism. But yeah, so I think it must have all come from
It totally
that.
comes through in the character design. It's like it's one of the most kind of strong sort of S&M aesthetics there's been on film, really, especially in something that was so mainstream almost. Because it feels like it's on the cusp of being a totally underground cult film that I guess got picked up, got given more money, and then became huge because of the Cenobite characters.
It's mad, but that's the thing that's mad about it. It's got a real sort of punk stroke, sort of industrial underground vibe to it, but is effectively like a mainstream movie that did really well. It's just kind of like, you know, how many completely underground films, you know, get made that never, you know, nobody ever ends up seeing them. They don't end up becoming cult films. I mean, that he absolutely nailed it with that one.
I kind of wish it got I kind of wish it got the choral soundtrack, because I had a listen to that, and it's kind of rough cut atmospheric music for it, quite industrial, quite really different to the kind of orchestral score that who's the fellow that did it, Christopher Young.
Young.
So I kind of wish that the film had the coil score, because it's really, really cool and really different. But it sounds like it wouldn't have got the extra funding to do some of the most amazing visual effects and practical effects stuff without losing that. So it's
a sort of catch-22, isn't it? It'd be lovely to have, I know it wasn't ever a complete soundtrack, but it'd be lovely if there was like a version that you could play as a sort of separate audio track or something like that. I know it would be a no-no
it'd be impossible
in terms of rights and all the rest.
I mean, the funny thing was, I listened to the soundtrack while I was working the other day, and what Coil did was they released it with a whole load of other music that the band had put together to do like adverts for TV, adverts, TV and radio stuff. So there's a point where you're really into this score that would have worked really well with the film, and then it goes weird, and it's like it took me a second to realise this wasn't stuff for Hellraiser, because it sounds like kind of almost Angelo Badalamenti doing like cheesy little interludes for like gin and tonic or something like that. It's
amazing.
It would have been really cool,
because in that documentary, little sort of special thing, Stephen Thrower saying as well that basically, because they were like had started working on the soundtrack and then were kicked off it, and then Christopher Young did it. He said almost immediately when the film came out, fans knew that Coil were going to have done a soundtrack.
Right.
So they released it pretty much straight away when the film was still in the cinemas, sort of thing. You could go and buy a 12-inch with the sort of sequences that they'd initially done, and then they said they reissued it as an album with more stuff on it. So that must be that sort of longer version. Yeah, really interesting.
Well, you guys, you chat amongst yourself. I'm busting for a piss.
Yeah, well, right. So guys, this is the
right now. Come on, be nice.
Okay. Well, when you get back, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Why don't we all take a little toilet break, and we come back. We'll do the thumbnails.
Yeah, we'll give it 5 minutes, Dave. Give it 5 minutes, Dave can do his 9 p.m.
Lovely. Thank you, guys.
Good piss, John.
Sorry, that was great. Absolutely, fucking ruined Rachel's new plant. Oh, Dave's frozen in the most magnificent. Oh, he's back. Damn it.
What was I doing? Trousers off.
Just like just like you're in a sort of moment of like really somber ecstasy.
Sounds like my
cum face, essentially. Yeah.
My lockdown pose.
Welcome back, folks. I have no idea whether John is going to edit out
I
the
like to hope so.
amount of masturbation chat, can opening, people having a piss that went on there, but who knows? You might have just been listening to us rambling for 10 minutes.
It'll be a nice wee surprise when you listen to it.
So I think we are all. So we're going to have to introduce. Well, obviously, Doc and Dave know our arcane rating system of thumbs. And I think it's time to get around to the thumb rating. What do you say, John? What's your take on the whole affair?
I'm not going to fuck around. It's 2 thumbs up. I can't be bothered explaining it. It's obvious. It's a fucking cracking film. It looks amazing. It's really fucking subversive. It has launched a completely justified. Yeah, it's horror icon stuff. End of story. And it doesn't matter where you go after that. If you've invented a horror icon that is instantly recognisable, you're an immediate 2 thumbs up. Because your film has to be fucking cool and engaging, and this is like so much different to other horror icons, which are like, you know, have their kind of Freddy, obviously very different. Jason, all that business, very different. This is actually something totally off on a different scale, and it surprises me in a way that it has had this kind of longevity. Not because it's a bad film, but just because it's such a fucking weird film, and it's.
True.
I mean, it's big. You've got these fucking S&M fucking demons. It's like, wow, you've managed to make that into a horror franchise. Fucking hands up, massive round of applause, 2 thumbs, end of story.
Top notch, excellent. Dave.
Yeah, I mean, can't disagree. It's 2 thumbs up. I mean, it's a horror classic, 100% amazing. I think the thing that resonated with me was watching it with Johnny, who's 16, and you know, we've been doing this for 10 weeks now, 11 weeks, whatever it is, and this is the first. This is the first film. He said to me at the end of it, immediately before the titles even started, he was like, "Is there a sequel? Can we watch it?"
Amazing.
So you're like, you know. That's incredible, you know, that it's...
I mean, that's an amazing point. As I said, like, going back to that, like, Johnny being that involved in it as fucking, like, man, I mean, that guy is just getting into his horror vibe. And immediately, all these years later, he's like, bang, that is tremendous. Is there any better recommendation than that?
I mean, and even with its faults, I mean, because
Exactly.
some of the special effects aren't great. You know, some of the stuff you can look at and you can go, "Oh, fucking hell!" You know, that's not where we are now.
Yeah.
But you know, he's seen past all that and he's gone, "Yeah, this is, you know, the story, the way it's written, the way it's shot. You know, it's so good. You cannot argue with it. Incredible."
I literally think that there is no bigger recommendation than what you've just said there, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that it's a you know, as a bunch of fucking old cunts in our 40s that have been into horror films since the 80s, I think it's easy for us to sort of be, you know, horror's very slick and big money these days, and it's very easy to be like, youngsters don't know what they're missing, blah, 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 no respect for the old films or whatever, but it's really, really actually, like, heartening that it, like, excited and engaged Johnny so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, you know, after all these years, it's still like a, you know, and for a low budget film to be like, whoa, like, you know, is all the thumb rating you need, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Dockaroo?
Sweet. So two thumbs up from you. And is Dockaroo an official name on the boat, or is that his cinema
No, I
name?
just like to ride him like a Dockaroo.
Oh, right, okay.
And because we're in a multi-dimensional space of pain and pleasure, I'll take it. fully 2 thumbs up for the film. I think I was quite surprised that, having seen it, Dead by Dawn, there was gorgeous 35mm print, I was surprised at how much better and how much more I enjoyed it than having seen it kind of 25, 30 years ago. It's just stunning. Really well shot, really tight. The practical effects are amazing. The Foley's one thing that actually I realised when I was listening to it, when we watched it, I had headphones on. The amount of horrible, wet, squeaky, terrible noises that happen during the film are incredible. And yeah, soundtrack's great. And it's iconic. The Cenobites are incredible. And I guess it's kind of fun that they weren't really what the film puts to the forefront. It's about the human characters for most of it. And then the Cenobites arrive and really have such impact when they do. So yeah, 2 thumbs up. And I think I've not seen any of the sequels. And I think I'll definitely have to at least watch Hellbound. I'm not sure how they go after that. But yeah, great film.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, from my sort of, 5 years ago, attempt to delve back into the series, I would just say that, Hellbound's very interesting, very different film from the first one, still very British, and Hellraiser 3 is when sort of the big money got involved and tried to make it into, like, a sort of Freddy or Jason sort of thing. And it's set in America, and it's pretty honking. I mean, it's fun, but it's honking. Yeah.
Yeah, but it becomes more of an action film at that point, I think. But
yeah, totally. I'm going to be controversial here.
Oh.
I'm going to go for 2 thumbs. I'm going to go for 2 thumbs down to incur the wrath of the Cenobites. Summon them. Send myself.
I'd imagine Pinhead's in your room as we speak.
My nipples have just been hooked.
Good.
And are now, both nipples are now pointing firmly upwards. And I give this 2 nipples up. It is, like John said, it's subversive, it's kinky, it's like fucking brilliantly shot, really well acted, really well written. The special effects are tremendous. There's no point in it that, I mean, yeah, like I think we've all said, there's a few special effect shots and all the rest that are like reasonably dubious these days, but I think even all the sort of hand painted electrical effects and all the rest on the puzzle box are, I think are great and still work, and just things like, we didn't even talk about the puzzle box, but I mean, even things like the actual design of the puzzle box itself, and like the whole mechanics of it, and that whole setup that there's no background.
Watch it for a DPD delivery. I think Tuesday.
Oh,
as long as it's not Hermes.
Tremendous. Oh,
smashed to pieces.
Turns up and smashes.
The thing is, I thought about Hermes. Like, well, even they can't fuck that, but I took a little bit of care.
Of course they can.
But I mean, there's so little backstory required. Do you know what I mean? There's that tiny wee scene at the start with him sitting with the Chinese guy that buys the puzzle box off there, and that's it. We're straight in there. Do you know what I mean? It's like sort of minimal exposition, and it doesn't matter. You're straight in there. You don't really need to know what's going on. You just, you get enough information and you're off. And it's just a joy to have that kind of pacing and that kind of sort of, lovely film. Absolutely brilliant. So 2 nipples up from me. So I think that's 6 thumbs and 2 nipples up.
That's a new rating, possibly the highest one yet.
Possibly the highest rating we have had yet. Yeah. So fantastic, excellent. All right, well, we all clearly loved it, but let's have a little bit of chat about how we watched it.
Fuck.
Excellent. All right, well, this is going to be an interesting tale here. Now, I know that Doc and I watched it on the Arrow. You were the Arrow as well, weren't you, Doc? Arrow,
Picked
the
up the
Arrow
Arrow
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray.
Lucky bastards.
And I must admit, during this lockdown, I treated myself on my birthday to a projector and got a big stack of Blu-rays, and this was one of the first ones I stuck in the basket.
Can I just ask, before you go on, how is Projector Life treating you?
It's
Yes.
an absolute game changer.
It's a game changer, isn't it?
I mean,
Jesus.
it's one of those things I've been recently really enjoying seeing stuff at the cinema. Been out to the cinema a lot. I've been really enjoying coming down to the Captain's Horror Meltdowns and just seeing films on a nice big screen. And yeah, it's been amazing to be able to do that at home. Have a cinema in your house. And it's nothing fancy. It's basically a 1080p projector. It's just stereo sound, but it looks incredible. So seeing this film on a projector, perfect. And the Arrow transfer is really, really good. So sort of the 35mm one
it's tremendous.
at the cinema. And it was good if a little bit, it was showing its age. Like a print from the late 80s. There was definitely a lot of scratches, a lot of mess on it when I saw that one. And this transfer looks great. Bit grainy, but in a good way. But I think that's just brilliant to see it on a big screen.
I mean, I think that's the thing with the. Obviously, we'll get to you in a second, Dave, with the grain issues. But I mean, it is undoubtedly a grainy transfer, but in a completely natural way that it's been shot without without a massive budget. Fairly low level lighting, I'm sure, and it's going to be a grainy film. It's never going to be like silky smooth, brightly lit sort of wonder, really, is it? So I think that the grain levels in the Blu-ray are absolutely fantastic. I can't imagine it looking much better. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean for like a low budget film, it's been done really, really very nicely. I mean, I'll get onto my 2 ways that I watched it after I gave up, but Dave will probably get onto that first, I guess.
Yeah. And well, I mean, I think let's get on to Dave before, and then I think Doc and I can come back and we can talk a little bit about the actual setup of the Arrow Blu-ray. But so Dave, you've got a bit of a tale for us, which was, I have to say, quite amusing as we were all texting each other while watching the film. Sure. It sounded for a little while like you were about to give up. Yeah, it sounded like you were going to throw the towel in.
Well, to be honest, I mean, I think I've said this to you after. I mean, if it hadn't been for the fact that I was watching it with Johnny for the first time, I would have thrown the towel in 100%. So I've signed up to the Arrow TV on Amazon Prime, which I think John has and Doc has as well.
Yeah, I'm on the trial.
And I mean, up till now, it's been good. I've watched quite a few things on it, and the quality's been absolutely fantastic. But this was fucking awful. I mean, there's just no other way of describing it. 2 thumbs down, fucking horrendous. It was so bad. I mean, there was just, there was grain on it. There was awful artifacts. The scene that really almost killed me was the scene early on in the film where they have a dinner party.
Yeah.
And it's candlelit.
Yeah.
It's candlelit. I mean, honestly, you could hardly see anything that was happening on screen. It was so blurry. It was just awful. So I don't know what's happened there, but really poor.
I'll back you up on that because I generally get quite drunk during the meltdown viewings and logs, and I kind of forgot we were doing this, and then I also was so drunk that I forgot that I had the Arrow video channel site. I was like, how are we going to get to watch Hellraiser? Because I think I had a chunky Blu-ray of it before the Arrow one came out. Again, classically stolen. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I started downloading it. End of story. I downloaded it illegally. End of story. But at the same time, I think, well, I've bought it fucking 3 times. Give me this one, give me this one download. And so, but then I went, oh, hang on, I've got it on the Arrow Amazon channel. And I started watching it. I was like, oh, this is fucking honking. I mean, mingingly bad. I mean, it struggles horribly with the grain. I mean, unbelievably bad. It's just like a blocky mess. It's minging. It's kind of like what I'm looking at right now with us on Skype.
Of course, I can't even see any of us.
Well, there you go.
It's completely blank for me.
Be thankful. So yeah, I think I've just said to folk, like, what time point are you on? Because I'm switching to this download, and the download, which was about 10 gigs, was immeasurably better than what was going through that.
I don't really understand it, because I mean, I've watched a few things on the Arrow TV channel, and from the same sort of era, and it's all been great.
Same here.
Yeah,
I reckon it was.
I'm going to be honest. I mean, like, it's like I think our next film in the lockdown meltdown is Maniac Cop, and I started watching it on my computer screen just to have I wonder what it's like. And I'm going to be honest, as another film that I've bought on VHS and DVD and Blu-ray, so, right, fuck it, I'm looking at this and it looks shit, so I'm going to download it. So I've not looked at the comparison yet, but the main thing for me, the Maniac Cop one was, the sort of wooden walled background. It looked like it was like made out of Lego. It was like, get this stuff up, get this stuff up. So that prompted me to again illegally download another film. But my justification has been like illegally downloading MP3s. It's like, well, I've bought the tape, I bought the LP. It's like, fucking give me a break.
You've got every mini
disc as well.
I mean, it's.
You're right. That's the thing.
In so many formats. God, I know someone was complaining about the cost of the Dawn of the Dead new Blu-ray package. That's very, very expensive, but coming out from Second Sight.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, surely the solution is just not to buy it. And he was like, yeah, it's just because I've bought it so many times on so many formats. And you just know he's going to end up buying it again.
Of course he is.
You know what I mean?
If you love the film, then you're going to buy it. I mean, personally, I don't love the film, so I'm not going to buy it. But
I've only managed to shift the Blu-ray, the Arrow Blu-ray, so there's no way I'm going back in again. Absolutely no way.
No, it's just not a film I revisit very often, so there's no point in me buying it. So.
You shifted that Blu-ray, the Arrow Blu-ray, at the right time, though, Dave, because that's going to.
It was
crash in price, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah, it was absolutely at the right time, yeah.
Yeah, so Blu-ray again, back to Blu-ray. So I actually, obviously try and pick everything up on Blu-ray where I can, and I was more than happy to buy Hellraiser. It was a bit squeaky bum time because of the postal service at the minute isn't working great because of the whole pandemic shenanigans. So I bought it from Zavi, and actually, amazing deal. Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3 in a steelbook.
Oh, nice.
For $17.99.
Not bad.
Ooh.
Not bad.
Decent for all three. That's very good, isn't it? And it did arrive in time. I forgot that Zavi has now moved to Jersey or whatever, or Guernsey or somewhere like that for tax purposes or whatever. So it took even longer to get here. Jesus Christ. But it did arrive on the morning of our viewing. So that was good. But yeah, absolutely lovely package. I mean, pretty much everything that was in there was originally a very expensive edition called the Scarlet Box, I think, which was in a box that looked like the puzzle box, and it actually had an extra disc in it as well. This is just a 3-discer, but 3 Blu-rays. And I mean, everything that's on the sort of standard edition, I think, is on the version in this as well. You got the standard edition, Doc, or did you get it?
I just got the standard edition, and it's got a decent amount of stuff on there.
Yeah, totally. It seems to be like fairly packed with stuff. I didn't actually listen to the audio commentary at all. It's got a couple of audio commentaries on it. I think the big star of it really is that the Leviathan documentary, which
has that been made
length
for that edition, or is it something that they've just nicked onto this?
I think I wasn't entirely sure if it was made specifically for Arrow for this edition, but it spans the 3 films, so I think effectively you end up with a sort of 4.5-5 hour documentary if you were to watch them all together.
Is that box set you've got Arrow? Is that an Arrow box set?
Yes, it's Arrow. Yeah, it's Arrow. It's the Arrow box set.
I have to get involved in that. That sounds good.
Yeah, totally. No, highly recommended. Brilliant. And like I said, $17.99 on Zavi. Yeah. But I mean, there's a couple of other interviews. There's some original sort of EPK stuff and stuff that was shot at the time, trailers, all the usual. Also, that very interesting sort of 20-minute documentary about the abandoned Coil soundtrack as well. And a couple of cast interviews as well. So yeah, I mean, tons of stuff on here. But the section of Leviathan, the story of Hellraiser, on the first disc certainly, it was about 1 hour and 40 minutes or something like that, I think. So it's pretty hefty. Like
that's worth admission alone, to be honest.
Oh, totally. And I do like a feature-length documentary about films.
Absolutely.
Ever sort of getting involved, ever after getting involved in the Thing one, which is just, I think the problem is the Thing one, though, is so standout that it's hard to better it. And I don't think this does better that one, but there's loads of great information and there's loads of great talking head stuff. All the special effects guys are involved, and some of the stories are just absolutely brilliant. And it's lovely just to like hear the sort of inside scoop on like, you know, how it all went down and, you know, what it was like for them to all work on it. It seems like they were all young. It was a lot of their first film, and they all had a great laugh doing it. So yeah, it's brilliant. I'd highly recommend that documentary.
Yeah, it's really good. Liked all the stuff on there. Most of it's HD. A couple of the older things are standard definition, but it's all great, and I think I'm gonna go back and listen to the commentaries as well. So good value.
Yeah, same here. I'm definitely interested in going back to the because, like we were saying earlier, the big omission in the documentary is Clive Barker's not in there, but there's 2 Clive Barker audio commentaries in this.
I thought you said it was 2 Clive Barkers for a second. Which one could they get? It's difficult to pin one of them down, let alone both.
Yeah, they got both of them on there.
Lovely.
I will say that in the Leviathan, there's a sort of one of the special effects guys. All the special effects guys are like fun. Their chat's fun. There's a guy who was basically like the sort of teenage trainee on there, and he's got loads of great anecdotes about getting sent out to buy condoms and KY jelly and just being told to like work out how to do stuff. Like, I think it was him that was talking about the heart effect underneath
when Frank's first coming up from the floor. So
yeah,
just figure it out, son.
And it was what was it? Is that it's a condom with some like fake blood in it and like, you know, a tube that you can blow it up with and
like
stuff.
A whole diorama under a soundstage. It's fantastic.
yeah,
but
brilliant.
no chat from the Greek lad at all. It's really really disappointing.
I think the Greek lad is dead. Actually, yeah, one too many kebabs.
Yeah, and crap it out of his nuts.
Shocker. Gyros.
Absolutely
Gyros out of his nuts.
smashed.
Absolutely shocking. So I'm guessing, Dave, that you're giving the Arrow streaming version on Amazon Prime a big thumbs down.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I am, but I don't really understand what's happened with it, because unless there's some sort of restriction on streaming.
No, I reckon
I'm going to be honest. As I said,
it.
I've looked at that, and I've kind of looked at Maniac Cop briefly today, and it just can't render green at all.
Yeah, that's it.
It's it's absolutely horrendous. I mean, these are grain heavy films, and I absolutely am behind people keeping that grain intact because that's the film. But streaming is just. I don't know if it's unfair now because I know everyone's like throttling their streaming services, but it looks borderline SD at points. It's fucking horrendous.
Jesus.
I mean, at times it looked great, but there's the times when the grain was most apparent on the Blu-ray version was when the compression just lost it completely, and it was distracting. So I can see why you couldn't watch the whole thing like that. But yeah, I tried both, and the compression was just nonsense.
Yeah, totally agree. So
awesome.
So we move on to a section I usually kind of try and do some research on, but I've done fuck all on. But apparently, Cammy and Doc have all the news.
All the news, yeah. Well, it's a rare. I mean, it's been a little while since we've been able to talk about censorship. Really, it's not really been an issue for any of our more recent films, but we do like to try and work out what James Thurman would think. But interestingly, I would say the hot topic with this
Steve just left.
Is that as Dave left, is he? He's off. Doesn't give a fuck. Is that so? The film was quite heavily cut.
Oh, really? Okay.
But not for the BBFC. For the MPAA in the States.
And they submitted that, I guess.
Well, I seem to think that they were going to get a free pass from the BBFC, and then basically all that got submitted was the MPAA version.
Right.
But rather annoyingly, the stuff that they talk about all sounds very gruesome and very interesting, and all those cuts seem to be lost now. They don't exist. They're not on the disc as special edition, as extras or anything like that. And it just sounds like there was a lot more nastiness involved, and that I think the really big one. For me was that the hammer attack was apparently way more graphic, and she was deriving a lot more pleasure from it, and it just went on, and you just basically saw his face getting
so we're not
smashed
seeing
up.
that anymore at all.
No.
No.
Right. Fuck.
No, it doesn't exist anymore. Basically, it seems to be that it just basically doesn't exist now. So, yeah, totally. So quite heavily censored, but not by James Thurman.
Yeah, I think there was only
wildly.
Is it 4 or 6 seconds were removed from the VHS video version that was submitted. The cinema one went through exactly the same as the MPAA cut. But I think there was a little reduction of the hammer attack. That was the main thing. They had particular emphasis on the blood and the viciousness and the satisfaction. So they didn't like that much. But yeah,
that's really interesting. I mean, this is actually this could be a first for us in that that's never been restored.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, it seems to not really exist anymore, I think.
But none of the things you've said really. I mean, if I was looking at that film now, I would say that that's all still there. So maybe they.
That's all that needs to be there, guys.
Maybe it's just unnecessary.
Actually,
that's true,
says that after they edited the hammer attack, they said, "Oh, you can put it back if you want." And having watched the cut version, he thought it was actually worse than the original, so he just left it. He was quite happy with it.
All right.
Fair enough.
But it seems there was like some of the sex was cut back as well. I think one of the victims of Julia's killings, he was naked with his bobby out on the floor. They decided that wasn't happening in the US.
Boo!
Yep.
The other thing that I thought was interesting was apparently, I think it was the guy, maybe the guy with the hammer or whatever, one of the guys that she murdered, apparently some of the cut stuff wasn't even graphic, it was just him pleading more. Oh, and it just made it like worse.
Yeah.
Nasty. Well, that's fair enough.
Like, Yeah.
Oh, God.
So,
So,
and apparently the scene at
plead-
the end as well.
That pleading bit was awful. It was awful.
Oh, God, no. God. It was really, really horrible. No. God.
it seems like a shame we're never going to see that.
God. I mean, it's just like, it's interesting that that stuff doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just like been lost, it was cut, and then it's gone. So, I would be interested to see what it's like.
Yeah, totally.
What the sort of longer version was like. I mean, you'd think there would maybe be some sort of like assembly version or something that's just like sitting on VHS somewhere that someone will find one day, but apparently not, so far anyway. So, and I'm pretty sure that, people have looked for this stuff, but yeah, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, well, a film like this, then if it's not been found now, it's not to be found, I guess.
Yeah, God. I thought it's not really a case of censorship, but in what Andrew Robinson says at one point, how he, at the end when his head explodes and he's getting like pulled apart, that he changed. He was originally supposed to say "fuck me" or "fuck you" or something, but they changed it to "Jesus wept,"
which is a really cool
just
line.
before he explodes. Yeah. Which is fucking brilliant. I absolutely love that. I love his delivery of it as well. Yeah. Jesus wept. Fucking amazing.
And I think they cut more of his tongue when he was kind of sort of salaciously putting his tongue out before he was ripped to shreds. They cut that down.
Yeah.
So I think it went on a lot longer. It was upsetting enough as it was, but...
Yeah, God, that whole section is pretty fucking upsetting, isn't it?
It's a favourite phrase in this house, I have to say. But I would say I say that daily. Jesus wept. Especially in lockdown. Six times a day in lockdown, but generally it's at least once a day.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you.
I'm quite, but yeah, I mean that's the extent of the censorship issues. Really, there wasn't really that much cut. So in the UK, and Furman didn't seem to be that bad. Furman probably quite enjoyed the film because it's good. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, it's a brilliantly produced film. End of story.
Yep.
And yeah, so come on, Captain, where are we now?
Well, I think that's us about done.
Pretty
really.
much.
We need to. The one thing we've not done is we've not really worked out what our next films are going to be.
Interesting. With an extra 2 bell ends here. 4 bell ends in total.
Steady.
4 bell ends in total.
I wonder.
So,
I mean, we could do something as outrageous as just skipping to Hellraiser 2 and just following on from it.
You could
do the full 9 films.
Yeah, the Hellraiser podcast.
One thing that's interesting is looking at all of the other films that were released in 1987, horror films. It's a strong year. You got like Hellraiser, which is superb, Evil Dead 2, Monster Squads, Prince of Darkness, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Lost Boys, which you've already done. There's a sequel to House, Dario Argento's Opera, Street Trash,
fucking hell,
Bad
what a year.
Taste.
Bad Taste would be a great one, but I think we'll wait for that until they get the
Stage Fright
restoration.
earlier in the chain, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah,
we
did.
We've done about half those.
Yeah, 87, strong.
But I would say, if I'm going to do any, it would be Bad Taste. But I would like to wait for the new.
It's coming out in 4. He's doing a 4K restoration of it.
Totally. So I'm desperately looking forward to. What was it? Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, Brain Dead. Is it those 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those with immense excitement. Yeah,
understandable.
To be honest, that might be the thing that breaks me. I get a 4K projector. I want to see Bad Taste in 4K.
So as it stands, the boat is adrift.
The boat is always
adrift. The boat is adrift. We don't know where we're going to go, but we do you know what, guys? If another sexy mission doesn't come up, you might be back on deck.
Yeah.
you might not be away in your what do I keep saying? Sadomechanism?
Pseudo-mechanism.
Oh my God, Doc and Dave sail off in their pseudo-mechanism. Oh, dear me.
Yeah.
Totally. Yep, yeah, I mean, I'd be good. I quite enjoyed doing a little bit of extra bollocks, and as always, it will go out uncut. So, fucking fingers crossed. I'll have to get the piss break. Will I? Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows exactly? But
everyone likes a little break
yeah. I mean, well, once we finish recording here, once we finish recording the podcast, we can stay on and chat.
That's the plan.
Lovely.
Lovely.
It's only Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hey, God.
Same as every other fucking day.
Yep.
Hammered.
Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter, does it? Oh, looking forward to the weekend.
There's beer to be drunk, and we're going to drink it.
Sweet.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll come up. We'll have a little chat about it. We can maybe cut in a single word at the end of just me saying what the new film, my next film's going to be.
That's not going to happen because that would require editing. So
can I go to the fridge?
Just be a mystery film. Well, I'll tell you what. See, why don't we all say goodbye just now? And then we'll go to the fridge and we'll get some beers.
And we'll crucially stop and save the recordings.
Yes, let's do that.
Oh, that's too
right, okay,
let's be crucial, guys. Come on, guys. I know it's lockdown, but it's not a fucking party.
Come on,
it's not a party. It's a.
Guys, thanks for joining us on the ship tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Lovely to see you. Lovely to hear your chat as well. And hopefully you'll be back for some more sadomasochistic action.
It's unlikely because we're going to fuck them and throw them overboard.
Oh, that's right.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, of course you fucking
anyway, so
are.
that's what's next. Next in the chain is murder. Yes, so there you go.
Next in the chain is Cammy and John in front page of the Daily Mail. They have fucked, killed, and thrown overboard two of their best friends in a lockdown frenzy. So these things happen, but it's all strange times, so it'll be fine.
Totally.
Night.
Yeah,
fuck off. Just fuck off, everyone. Everyone, fuck off.
It's descended into chaos. Right, okay. Night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers,
We'll
guys.
see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Stay safe.